in a very crucial line, the publication that was sent to me says the government, this is of Antigua and Barbuda, has determined that the matter engages important questions of sovereignty, legal responsibility, public finance, national security, social stability, and Antigua and Barbuda's international obligations. It has therefore concluded that the issue should be addressed in a clear, orderly, and transparent manner. The white paper explains that Antigua and Barbuda has approached the matter in a spirit of friendship and cooperation, while making clear that as a small state with limited resources and limited absorptive capacity, it cannot responsibly accept open-ended obligations involving persons who are not its nationals and whose removal is sought by another country. The white paper will be laid before Parliament for a debate at a special session to be convened for that purpose during the week of the 13th July. This will afford members of Parliament the opportunity to consider the matter fully and address their views on an issue of national importance. In taking this step, the government reaffirms its commitment to transparency, accountability, and informed national discussions. Parliamentary consideration will ensure that Antigua and Barbuda's position is examined in the nation's highest representative forum. When I read this release, which came, as I said, within 20 minutes of the end of this program, had the Prime Minister, Gaston Brown, been in front of me, I'd have given him an absolute massive handshake and perhaps a hug. Because this is a government in Antigua at the moment on this issue that has read the room, and appropriately so. Mark you, there are some slight differences, some ways in which the situation Jamaica is now facing with this third country national arrangement, it can be sort of distinguished from what obtains in Antigua and Barbuda. As I understand the situation with Antigua and Barbuda, they were approached, I think, in August of 2025. And it is my understanding that when they were approached, it was proposed that convicts be sent to Antigua and Barbuda. Remember the situation where El Salvador and Bukele's presidency, they actually have prison facilities there for the most hardened criminals in the world, about which the Salvadoran president Bukele boasts. And a number of people from the United States were just picked up and sent to El Salvador. Some of them convicts, some of them not even convict, just regular people. So the proposal was to sort of perhaps dump some people in Antigua, similar to what happened with El Salvador. And Antigua wrote back to say, we are not intending to accept convicts. Let me take a break.
You're listening to Radio Jamaica. The time is 9:50.
Situation with Antigua and Barbuda. When they responded to the overtures from the United States, and which overtures contained a proposal for convicts of various crimes, some of those that the Secretary of State described as, criminals of perhaps the worst kind. There's a possibility that they could be sent to Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua wrote back and said, no, we can't. We can't accept them because of our size, because of security issues, because of social safety issues, because of issues concerning public finance and so forth. And as far as I understand, the United States, in a period after Antigua's written response, they then published policy restricting applications and the processing of immigrant and non-immigrant visas. So that process was suspended. And I was also made to understand that I don't believe that they have yet responded to the letter directly from Antigua and Barbuda. So Antigua and Barbuda, to my understanding, has not yet signed a TCN, which is why it appears to me now Antigua and Barbuda, they're in a position where actions have already been taken against us, and the people have bawled about it, and there has been sort of some social upheaval there because of the stalling of the processing of immigrant and non-immigrant visas. And the government is saying, okay, since this is where we are, full and public disclosure, let the public have a say in the parliament, let the representatives have a say in the parliament on how any agreement that they wish us to enter with the United States government, let them say to us in the nation's highest legislative chamber. And here comes the white paper. It need not have got to that place, meaning there's no good reason why Jamaica could not have taken that position, even though we don't have the same sort of quote-unquote punitive measures now, in that there's been no stalling of our visa application processes. I know that the processing for immigrant visa applications, there was a notice that was to be stalled, and then we had a notice sometime after the 21st of January that all scheduled interviews are still being processed. But we need to see what is the status of the original decision concerning the halting of new applications, and where exactly is the embassy at this time. Yeah? But the bottom line is the beauty of the understanding of the democracy in which one operates has dictated to Antigua and Barbuda that they are to lay a white paper in Parliament, a discussion paper, outline what is proposed, and have the members suggest within the parliamentary chamber what are we prepared to accept and under what conditions. And I think territories around the Caribbean need to have a look at this model, and this should be the norm, and deviations from this should be in very extreme and special circumstances, which should be explained to the people of the country. Yesterday, as well, as you know, we had the benefit on this program of hearing for the first time in an interview from Ambassador Audrey Marks, Minister with Portfolio Responsibility for Efficiency, Innovation and Digital Transformation in the Office of the Prime Minister. A lot of things are of concern to me coming out of that interview. A lot. I went back and had a look at the story that was originally published by the Gleaner on the 16th of June 2026. There is no doubt that the Gleaner had a copy of the proposed third country nationals agreement because the article said so. The first paragraph of the article says Kingston and Washington are expected to begin talks on an agreement first pitched by a senior Jamaican government official that could see the island accepting up to 10,000 non-Jamaicans being deported from the United States. A document from the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, seen by the Gleaner, outlines the operational framework for the proposed third country nationals agreement, which has triggered controversy in several countries that have entered into similar arrangements with Washington. The TCN deal came under local scrutiny last year when a Jamaican man, Orville Itoria, was deported from the United States to the African country of Eswatini in July with no ties to that nation. Following intense international scrutiny and diplomatic pushback, the Eswatini government released and repatriated him in late September 2025, and he was reunited with his family. Now, the first paragraph of this particular article has become problematic for a number of reasons, one of which it makes no sense whatsoever. There was clearly a diplomatic note from what the Gleaner later reported. Somebody sent a diplomatic note which the Jamaican Foreign Affairs Ministry received, which indicated that Audrey Marks made that proposal to a U.S. official. But even that paragraph, it is so ridiculous that any person, whether in the capacity of ambassador or as minister, could make such a proposal to anybody. It is so ridiculous that, in fact, when I saw it, you sort of say, oh, especially in light of what you know was happening with other territories, especially in light of what you know the America First policy is, and in light of what you see the Donald Trump administration doing when it wants something, how it approaches the nations, whether behind closed doors or if not closed doors, then openly. You know that common sense dictates that no Jamaican minister or ambassador was ever going to pitch accepting up to 10,000 non-Jamaicans deported from the United States. The next thing is that the fact that the article contained information about this guy, the Jamaican Itoria, Orville Itoria, who was sent to Eswatini, but Orville Itoria, based on all that was reported, he was convicted of an extremely serious crime. He was convicted in 1997 of the murder in the second degree, and criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, according to some records online concerning his appeal. Right? I say that because the Gleaner went on to quote some paragraphs of the so-called draft TCN agreement which they had. So they had an extremely good source. They had documents. It was a story worthy of being carried. And you cannot fault any journalist who gets a story like this and who carries it. Right? But when you look at what they say about the proposed MOU, despite the 10,000 deportees lying in the first paragraph, it went on to say, under the proposed MOU, the U.S. would transfer up to 25 foreign nationals every 2 weeks for an unspecified period. This is expected to be by a case-by-case arrangement, the draft MOU said, in which the U.S. may use its discretion to propose transfers, and the government may, in its discretion, consider accepting the proposal in whole or in part. And it sets out a lot of what Dr. Chang later disclosed to the people of Jamaica. So it appears to me that this is not only the draft agreement, but it perhaps is the agreement that was actually signed. And there's a portion of the article that says that no person with criminal conviction in the United States will be accepted by the Jamaican government, or wording to that effect. So the point is, with what is now unfolding, it is clear that at the time of publication, and understandably so, the entire framework of the thing was conflated with a lot of things. And this is where the government now had the chance, when the report came to light on the 16th of June, to literally sit down and not to try and correct as a first stop some of the things that were reported, but literally lay everything out for the people of Jamaica, and I believe to use the Parliament of Jamaica to put the documents before the Parliament, even though we'd not ordinarily done that. But these are extraordinary circumstances. That was not done. There's a lot more, especially stuff that came from the interview. I'm going to continue with that. I'm out of time in this segment. Stay with us.
You're listening to Radio Jamaica.
Protect what matters most.